for the longest time, I was raised with my mother, who was as bright and smart as she was very much, traditional, even though she probably was the one who ran the home, but she pretended not to. I'll tell you Daddy, or I'll ask Daddy. But Daddy was very mild-mannered. When I went on this trip to San Diego, and I told my mother I was going to be gone for a month, she said, "Oh, and Ozzy's letting you go?" And I said, "Yeah, in fact." And I let him go when he goes on business trips, Just before I left for Europe, that was the beginning of what was the feminist movement. And I had the sympathy, certainly I had it in my heart. And somebody gave me a subscription to Ms. Magazine as a going away present, and which was wonderful. When we got to Brussels, I wanted to get involved in something. And there was a magazine called The Bulletin. It was a weekly magazine put out by the English-speaking community. And I saw a little ad that said, "Women Overseas for Equality," WOE, W-O-E. And they were having a meeting. And so I called them up and I said, "Well, what do you do? Are you sort of like extremists?" There had been bra burning until then. That wasn't where I was. No, we talk about stuff. So I went to a meeting. People were very welcoming. But the topic of discussion that evening was body hair, to shave or not to shave. And I thought, this is not for me. I don't care if I decide. Of course, the Europeans don't shave under their arms in many cases. But, who cares? So I was very turned away. But I thought, I have to give him another chance. And the next time around, it was much more interesting. And it was really terrific. It was a great group. I have to give you one example of something that totally blew me away. We went to there was a presentation of a woman who was talking about taking control of your body and taking control of the inside of your body. And she said her idea was to, have you ever looked at yourself at the way a gynecologist does with a speculum? It had never occurred to me. She says, "Well, I'll show you an example." And this woman, to the shock, I don't know who I was totally blown away, got down, there was a stage actually, and inserted a speculum, and we could look into her insides. And I thought, this is going a little too far. But it was a little bit on the edge, but not everything was on the edge. We were politically interested in what went on. There were women who came to these meetings saying that they had to lie to their husbands to leave, didn't tell them where they were going. And it was a very supportive environment. And my husband was very receptive, really, with, the fact that I became very, very voluble on the women's rights. For instance, women, and by then I had a job, so that was pretty good. But women, my husband was not part of an international organization that went from here to here to here, and where the women had to adjust. After 2 years, they went somewhere else. And there were many women who were very bitter about the fact that their needs were not considered, and that sometimes they started something here, and when the husband got a promotion to go there, they had to follow, and there were no choices in those days. And so whenever we'd get together socially, my husband was part of a sort of an international center. So there were people from Italy and Denmark and South America and everywhere. And they got very friendly with each other because they worked together. And I would start having conversations about this and get very enthusiastic, and then I'd get challenged. And sometimes I would lose it, and my husband then would pick up and rescue me. So it was wonderful the way he was right there with me. And many women were saying that they felt that they could not maintain this this situation. And you know, one in particular was a very good friend of mine. She divorced her husband because she saw what she was in, you know. And so it was a great introduction to feminism, and I felt very strongly about it.